Good morning. This is Leaning In with Ann, and this is a live walk and talk that I do every weekday. Today we are going to be talking about forgiving yourself. Not just that you should. I get tired. I don't know if you get tired of this, but I get tired of everybody telling you the shoulds and not the hows. It's part of the reason why the Igniting Your Belief program was written. We teach people how. I sit in mentorship and work them through the real life stuff in that moment, which is different than, when you go to a conference or a workshop or that kind of thing and you have these great ideas and you're like, yes, but you have no idea how to implement. Yeah, I've done too many of those, and so that's why the Igniting Your Belief program is always with a live mentor. Always, always, always. So that you get somebody walking with you as you make the changes. Like, I can tell you all day long today how to forgive. But then there's going to be something that comes up and bites you in the butt. And when it bites you in the butt, you're going to need somebody right there to say, I understand. I totally get why this is happening. How about we try this? Until you start just forgiving yourself. Sometimes we just need a guide. I was thinking about that. Every good movie, somebody has a guide. It's like Luke Skywalker, right? His Yoda. And I love all of the crazy village ladies. Like the willow tree and in Moana, the grandma. And there's always a guide that comes in and helps out somehow. I love to be a guide. So I am Ann Ferguson. And I get it. I get what you're going through, even though I don't know you, because there's been so much that, not that I've gone through, but I've worked so hard to really feel what I feel. And therefore, when you're feeling, I can empathize, man. I can get right in there with you. So, anyway, today I'm a guide. Oh, I want to show you what else is here at the park. See if I can get it. Oh, hold on. Gotta do it this way. Oh, look, see that? There's a hot air balloon right near me. I really, really, really love hot air balloons. One landed in my neighborhood when I was a little girl, and forever I've been fascinated by them. Forever and ever. I've ridden in them. My son has actually flown in them. But I really, really, really love them. Anyway, all right, let's get into it. Let's get into forgiving ourselves today. So I want to examine this. This is one of the toughest, honestly, loving behaviors that we can do. And it's actually one of the most important, for sure. First of all, we got to bust some myths. Feeling really, really bad for a really long time is not taking accountability. You can be in shame over what you did and never take accountability for it. It's an interesting concept, isn't it? Let's go back to childhood. Thumbs up if you experience this. The way to show that you're aware of your wrongs and your wrongdoing is by exhibiting the right amount of shame. Anybody have to feel ashamed? I remember being in timeout or grounded and being said, you need to sit and think about that. You need to think about what you did. Anybody else do? You got to think about what you did? Meaning I've got to feel the appropriate amount of shame, which is not the same as regret, by the way. Shame is not the same as taking accountability. So I did not know that. My dad lived in a lot of shame. And it never really changed behavior or helped him. He also lived in a lot of never forgiving himself. And then what happened is later on in life, he blamed other people for being judgmental of him, when in reality, he was the one who was judgmental of himself. And he got very angry, and he would openly condemn and fight and all sorts of things because he had been wronged. Everything comes from inside first. So if you are not forgiving of yourself, then you will believe that no one forgives you. Interesting, right? Forgiving yourself first. Now, how do we do that? Well, the first thing that we really have to do, steps. Number one, you have to be aware of what you feel. You totally have to be aware of what you feel and know if that feeling is something that you like or don't like. And then you get to make a decision. I have done some things that I really, really, really wish I had never done. And watching the effects of what I have done on somebody else can bring that shame monster back up and up and up. Shame monsters go from somebody else a lot of times, like they'll throw blame at you and it crawls across the floor and up your leg, and all of a sudden you are in a shame bomb. And if you've been taught that you need to show shame in order to be repentant, then that's where you stay. I am ashamed, I am ashamed. Now, there are some things that we absolutely cannot go back and repair. We have missed the opportunity. We did things in fear or in anger, reacting out of those that harmed somebody else or a relationship or maybe an opportunity that you let go of because of your fear and your anger, and you can't get it back. And no amount of shame, of upset is ever going to change it. Like it is what it is. Now we can get a thick skin and go, and I let this go. I know somebody who says, I don't do guilt, it's like a ton of bricks, I just drop it and walk away. It actually doesn't work that way. You have to look at it, and you have to go, okay, ready? This is what we do, guys. First thing, we acknowledge the pain of the fact that we did something wrong. And we don't make ourselves wrong for feeling it. We also don't increase it so that we can think about it, so that we can do better. Because one of the thoughts that my family had, if you feel bad about it, that'll make it so that you never do it again. You have to feel bad enough about it so that you learn your lesson. Well, if that was the lecture series that you got, if you were put in timeout or even spanked, if you were grounded as an adult now, if that was the discipline method of your adult when you did something wrong, your caregiver, then you have learned what to do when you discover that you've done something wrong, and then you do it to yourself. Time out. There are a lot of adults that put themselves into timeout because they've done something wrong and timeout is the appropriate thing to do. And so they're going to step away, not engage, put themselves in timeout and not live. The problem is there is not a parental unit to get you out of timeout. So I see people staying in whatever their discipline method was as children, they stay in it way longer than they need to. Grounded. If you are grounded, you cannot get off the ground. You can't do your dreams because you are still punishing yourself in a disciplined manner that you were taught. And now you're an adult, and there's no adult to get you out. There is also the spanking that is self-harming. Sometimes we will push ourselves further than we should go. It's not always a physical thing. It can be, like eating too much. We do things like staying up way too late, working way too hard. And it's almost like it's called self-abuse. It doesn't have to always be horrible physical. There are things that we do that are not taking care of us. And it's almost like a way to atone for whatever sin that we have committed. Because there was some physical stuff that went on when you had done something wrong in your childhood. Okay, knowing that, the first thing to do is to say, I have permission. I have permission to let myself out of timeout. I have permission to take care of myself. I have permission to have my dreams. Why? Because you've got to tell yourself, I have experienced this form of discipline now long enough for the thing that I did. It is done. Like, it is enough. Now, if you're super worried that you're going to do it again, that's because you didn't actually fully acknowledge what you did. Sure, you felt the shame. But to actually take it apart, go like this, here you are in your shame, move outside of the shame for just a minute and then look back in and say, what did I do? What did I do? There are some things that I have done and said to my children in fear and in anger that were very damaging to their sweet, sweet little spirits. When I was in the throes of young kids, I would express the appropriate amount of shame. I'm so sorry. I even said to one of my daughters, I'm so sorry. You don't deserve me. You deserve a better mom. Heavenly Father should have sent you to another mom. What that did for her is it actually made her feel my sorrow and my shame, and she started taking care of me, and it was never actually an apology. So, in order to forgive yourself, you have to acknowledge what went into it and not make yourself wrong. So, what did you do? Did you have a fear of love? Did you have a fear of not being loved? Did you have anger that you couldn't control what other people were doing? And if they would do what you wanted them to do, then you would receive the love that you wanted to receive, or the acknowledgement, or, all of those things. Like, let's be human and saying the truth is, I feel anger. The truth is, I feel fear. And when I try to push that fear and anger down and pretend like I don't feel it because I'm not supposed to, that I act out of my fear and anger in a way that hurts other people. You know what? It's okay that I do that. Why? Because I'm human and I'm learning how. I didn't learn how to take responsibility. And it's when you actually take that responsibility and become aware without shame. This is the big thing. When you're aware without shame of what you have done, you have the ability to make a different choice and to let go. So right now, all of you need to say, I did my best, repeat, with the light and knowledge that I had at the time. That's not an excuse. We're going to move past that. I did my best with the light and the knowledge that I had at the time. And I impacted someone else's life. Okay, we're going to see this again. I did my best with the light and the knowledge that I had at the time. And I impacted someone's life. Now, if that's not something, that impact wasn't something that you intended, that wounded, that hurt, the next step is for you to connect in with your God. Because guess what, guys? He's the only one who can heal anything. Now, the adversary, the big bullies can get in the way. You don't deserve to connect with God. He's mad at you because you should have known better. Anybody ever get you should know better lecture? No. With the light and knowledge and the emotional maturity that I had at the time, I acted this way and it had impact on someone else. And Father in heaven, I don't know how. I don't know how to forgive myself. Okay? Let's not make you wrong for not knowing how to forgive yourself. Can you just give yourself grace for a minute and go, let's be real. I was taught to shame myself. I was never taught how or what it looks like to forgive myself. So when you hear people say, you need to forgive yourself, and you go into the should of shame, I should forgive myself, but I don't know, and be all upset about it. No, let's just admit it. You don't know how. So if you're not forgiving yourself, it's okay. It is something to learn. Forgiving yourself is coming from God. He's going to say, okay, let me show you. This is what you need to know about you without shame. This is what you need to know about somebody else without shame. And this is how you acknowledge it, how you make sure that the other person, if possible, hears and knows. Now, what if you can't get to them? What if they won't let you in your life because you've done some things that are intense enough? And you just keep feeling bad and bad and bad because you're trying to show them that you get it. You were awful. Give me another chance. I was horrible to you. I understand that I was horrible, and all you do is sit in shame. That shame is going to leak onto them. And part of the reason why they don't want to be around you is because they don't want to be responsible for your shame. Did you know that? Other people don't want to be responsible for your shame. They are not the ones who tell you it's over. You get to say, I've done all that I can with the Lord. I've done it. He and I worked through. I have no shame. I still know I've had impact. And I pray every day for that impact to be changed. But if I ever get the chance, I will have a conversation when they're ready, not when I'm ready. If you force your readiness upon them, you're just doing it again. So make sure that you let the other person have the opportunity to be ready to deal with their pain and say, I'm willing now to hear you and let go. We are going to do a meditation exercise. I'm going to lead you through something that is going to help you let go of your stuff. Help you let go of the wounds that people have caused to you. Something that is taught in the Igniting Your Belief program, because we cannot move forward. We cannot dream. This is like the last lesson right before the dreaming and creating your life kind of stuff. It's because these tethers make it so hard sometimes. We can still dream, but it's so much more effective when we've gotten rid of the stuff. One thing I need you to know, there are a lot of Christians that watch my lives. Only God defines you. Your mama, she doesn't define you. Whether or not the person who you've harmed has forgiven you, they don't define you. This forgiveness of yourself is a beautiful relationship expression and thing between you and your God. And I remember sitting in my religion, in my religious practice, every week we take what a lot of people would consider communion. It's emblems and representations of his body and his blood. Now, I There's a whole other video about this. I do not sit in guilt over his pain. I understand what that was, and I actually sit and receive it in love. Well, this one day I was sitting there, and I believe in the atonement. I believe in his power to shift and help me. I do. And yet I was really holding on to some self-loathing, if you will, that I had. And as that bread was coming past me and I partook of it, the idea of, do I actually believe that this will help me? And it's like a thought came in and I said, absolutely. And then I heard, but you don't. That one thing that you did that you're still beating yourself up for, it's like you're saying, I really appreciate what you did for me, but this one thing you didn't actually cover. I'm just going to have to suffer on my own about it and just take care of this myself. That was not shame. That was a beautiful, holy awareness that I received. He did all. All. Every single thing that I have done to someone else, he's already taken care of. And as long as I hold on to my shame about it, I'm saying you didn't do a good job. So just consider that for a moment as we kind of move into this exercise, this meditation that we're going to do together. I would love for you to get into a comfortable position. Put your hands up, put them on your legs, or if you're laying down, leave them up. If you're watching this later, just get into a good, you can pause me, get into a good comfortable position for a minute. And one of the things that I would love for you to do is the feeling of receiving. So no energy going out, even though we're going to kind of talk to God a little bit. It's not about us praying and being outward. We're going to receive. It's like all of this energy being drawn to you is what I would love. Okay? All right, this is what we do. First of all, get comfortable. Take a deep breath. And let it out. Now, when you let it out, that is giving energy. When you breathe in, that is receiving. So we're going to do this again. Breathe in and receive. Fill the air. Fill your lungs. Let that out. So we're in an attitude of receiving. And the first thing that I would love for you to say to yourself, I'm going to say it and I would love for you to repeat it. In this situation, in my state that I exist in right now, at this level of humanness, at this level of light and understanding, may I be loved. Deep breath in and receive it. May I be loved. I want you to feel it. Be aware if you do feel it or if you don't feel it, and just ask, may I be loved. You're going to, if it's hard to receive that, that's okay. Give yourself permission and go, that's interesting that receiving love is a little difficult. So we're going to ask, help me to feel love. You're actually safe right now. You're not in trouble. You're not disappointing anybody. You're just saying, may I be loved. Now, let's go to those people that you love so much. May those who are nearest and dearest to me, may they be loved. Now, this may be people you're in relationship with, or maybe people that you're struggling in relationship with. It doesn't matter. Wherever that relationship is, we're going to say it again. Deep breath in. May those who are nearest and dearest to me, may they be loved. Send any love that you have. You can do a giving moment right here. Any love that you have towards their hearts. And light from heaven towards them. May those who are nearest and dearest to me, may they be loved. Deep breath in. Good. Now let's access it. May those I have harmed, whether intentionally or unintentionally, may they be and feel loved. Now, if that caused any shame in you, take a deep breath and breathe in. May I be loved. May I be loved. Let's do that one again. May those who I have harmed, whether intentionally or unintentionally, may they be and feel loved. Deep breath in. So even if they're not willing to receive love from you, you can employ heaven and give them what you wish you could give them yourself. Take a deep breath in. May those I have harmed, whether intentionally or unintentionally, may they be and be filled up with love. Deep breath in and let it out. Just feel it. They're being taken care of. I want you to feel again, may I be loved. May I receive love. May those I have harmed intentionally or unintentionally, may they see and feel loved. No shame in this. May I be loved. So now in your heart, just say, I give you permission to heal those who I have harmed. And now for yourself, I give you permission to heal me. Even though I have harmed. Receive the healing, knowing that your nearest and dearest are in His hands, taking care of them. One last time, may I be loved. When you're ready, kind of wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers, open your eyes, and come back into this space that we're in together. I would love for you to write down what you just felt. If you struggled with that, it's totally okay. The fact that you participated was fan-freaking-tastic. Thank you for trying. Thank you. Only God defines you. He loves you. He understands and forgives you for the things that you do in fear and in anger. So good. Now, if for any time that you get a prompting that feels different than an impulse, okay? Impulsiveness is you doing a thing. A prompting is, I think you should write a letter. I think you should call. I think you should text. Now, you're going to want to. when you feel kind of relieved of this, you're going to like, it's over. Oh my gosh, I feel so good. It is not over for them. And it's okay because why? Because God is healing them. It's not your job. Now, if they come to you and they tell you, this is what happened, this is what you did, and this is how it impacted me, take a deep breath and in your mind say, may I be loved, because we don't want to react in fear or in anger when somebody brings something to us that they're trying to share with us. When you feel helpless, like you can't fix it, say to yourself, may they be loved. And if I have any role in this at all, help me know what to say. A prompting can be absolutely to just sit still and enjoy life and give things time. There is a relationship that I have right now that somebody told me the things that I did wrong, and nothing but shame crawled up my leg. What happens, by the way, when shame crawls up your leg is that you shut down. So the person who is trying to resolve and come to closure and forgiveness, they actually can't, because you are in shame. So if you do the pummel thing, it's okay to say, I appreciate what you've shared. I need some time to process this. Thank you so much. And that's all you need to say. You don't have to fix it. You just have to say, I need to process what you've told me. I want to hear you. And I'm really overwhelmed right now. That is called emotional maturity. Why? Because you know what overwhelm feels like, and you don't make yourself wrong. You know what shame feels like, and you don't make yourself wrong. You just say, I can see that there was courage in you coming to me. I need time to process. Thank you. Okay? I didn't do that. Nothing but shame. I felt shame, and then that brought up defensiveness, and then that brought up blaming. But you don't understand, because what was going on is this, and how could you possibly judge me? You had no idea what I was going through. All of that was throwing everything back into somebody else's space instead of receiving what they were trying to tell me. That relationship is not quite healed yet, my friends. Why? Because the Spirit said, sit still. Enjoy life and feel loved by me for a little while. Let me heal this thing in you that you know that you did now, and it's causing you so much shame. When it's time, see, I've gotten to the point now where I'm able to go, I can see that what I said and what you heard generated in you this emotion. It had impact on you. And you felt, what I hear you say is that you felt this. That is an awful feeling. The fact that you felt that is just really rough. And that would have impacted so many things that you felt that. I can totally see how what I said had impact on you. Now, even if what you said and what they heard are not the same things, what you were trying to convey and what they picked up, not the same, it is 100% okay that that is how they interpreted it. And because of how they interpreted it, it is what they felt. You interpreted them this way, and you felt this. And I was the one that spoke those words. And I'm really glad that I know that that is how you heard me. And I'm really sorry about the damage that that caused. It was never my intention. But that doesn't matter whether I intended it or not. You're wounded. I see your wounds. Is there anything that I can do to help in that? I'm going to let you govern your healing. Is there something you need from me? If there's not, know that I love you. If there is, I'm right here. I appreciate you and I would love relationship with you. Will you, ready? Will you forgive me? Not, I'm sorry. We all need to stop saying I'm sorry. We need to start saying, will you forgive me? Why? Because we say, I'm sorry about this, and I'm sorry about that, and I'm so sorry about this. That's not anything. Sometimes it's not even awareness. But when you say, will you forgive me? You're giving them a choice, whether or not they're ready to let go or still need to hold on to sort things out. And whenever you say, will you forgive me? It is theirs to decide whether they will or not. And it doesn't mean you've done anything wrong or right. Just request. Are you open? And basically what you're saying is, are you open to letting God heal this for you? I've done what I can, and I see your wounds. Will you forgive me for my part of what your experience has been? That generates a whole lot of forgiveness for yourself. So let's do that. Ready? Ask yourself. Think of something that has been really rough that you have blamed yourself for and you're holding on to. And take a minute and say, will you forgive me? It was only when I have forgiven myself and acknowledged without shame that I can even start to try to think about having a conversation with the person that I need to. Forgiving yourself is first, not last. You don't have somebody else forgive you and then you can forgive yourself. Do this work. Ask how. Lord, for me, I need to know how to forgive. Teach me how. Because then I can repair. Only then can I repair. And it's totally possible, y'all. It's totally possible. Why? Because Christ already knows. Forgive them, Father. They don't know what they're doing. He already knows that you didn't know. Already knows. What if I think I have forgiven myself, but the feeling comes back? Then take a minute and go back into that moment where you have forgiven yourself and remind yourself, oh, I've still got some shame that's surrounding this. That's interesting. Father, what do I need to do to take this level of that shame away? Because it's just revealing that there's just still a little piece that still needs to be healed. I still have it. I still do. There's places in me that I think I've gotten over and I've forgiven, and then something will happen and I get triggered, especially if it's a PTSD situation and you have been blamed and shamed and blamed and shamed. If you get back into one of those situations and there's a trigger that happens and that shame comes back up, it's just an indication that there's more healing. You're not doing it wrong. You're not doing it wrong. You just go, oh, look at that. That still has impact on me. That PTSD response that I'm having. Okay. And this is what I do. I say, hello, wound. Hi. You just showed up so that we can heal you, so I can become more whole, so that I can have the relationships that I desire the most. I feel shame. Thank you so much for showing up and letting me know. I'm going to take this to God. He and I are going to work on some things. We're going to get this fixed. That's what we're going to do. Thank you. So I hope this helped. That is it. I love you. I will see you tomorrow. Have a super great day.